Welcome to another episode of Engaging Virtual Meetings podcast. I'm John Chen, I'm your host. And if you're watching here on social media, make sure to subscribe, share, like, and comment. If you are watching here live, if you want to hear all of our episodes here, you got to go to engagingvirtualmeetings.online, and a new episode will drop every single Wednesday. And if you want to be more engaging in the world, come to the Engaging Retreat right here in Seattle and click online anywhere. This year will be October 20 through 22nd. Take your phone out, scan this QR code, get a free ticket, or check out one of our VIP tickets so you can either attend in-person virtual or in-person right here in Seattle. Every attendee gets 5 minutes of 4-camera video in addition to 3 days of amazing education. Now, speaking of education, we've got this gentleman. He's our next guest here. We've actually known each other for quite a long time. We're going to find out how many years. He's a strategic business development executive. He's generated over $325 million of enterprise contract while building and scaling high-performance commercial organizations. And now he's hanging around with an organization called CEO Life. Let's welcome to the podcast, John Carlisle.
How you doing, John?
What's up, John? The two Johns are here this morning on Monday.
Exactly.
Uh,
Exactly.
all right. How are you doing this early Monday morning?
I am doing fantastic. I'm doing fantastic. And definitely I don't know how long we've known each other. That's a great question. I was
It's
just
been a
thinking
while
that
though, right?
it's got to be close to 10 years, if not longer.
All right, I'm going to go look up some records while we're on this podcast. I think I'm going to see if I find a date. So that's actually cool tech trick, right? I'm using OneNote, Microsoft's OneNote, and I actually have meeting notes for over 25 years in one file. So I can actually, if you and I had a conversation and I wrote a note about it, I will be able to find it here in just a few minutes. But for my other friends, John, who don't know you, do me a favor, take a moment, introduce yourself, who you are, and what you do.
So I'm John Carlisle. I do a facet of things, but definitely I am the president of CEO Life, the chapter here in Seattle. We are a chapter that does something called Gather, Grow, Give. So we gather together, we curate rooms where people can have honest conversations where they're comfortable, not have to worry about being marketed to, for CEOs, for directors, for VPs, and the like. And then we grow, we learn from each other. We sometimes have speakers coming up. Like this month, I have a speaker coming up for an event that we're doing on the last Friday of this month. And then we do a give, and we're giving back to the community. We're going to be at the Boys and Girls Club talking to the kids and helping them understand some of the career choices that they have that they may not be aware of, and just encouraging them. So very excited to be part of this organization, and looking to build the chapter here in Seattle.
Genius. So, yeah, what made you join CEO Life? I know that this is a recent change for you. So, what were some of the attraction factors for you?
Well, it's kind of two things I'm going to be doing, right? So the CEO Life chapter is definitely something I'm leading. I'm still involved in business development and staffing and whatnot, but what made me join, it was kind of an interesting thing. I applied for the CEO position of CEO Life at one point, and I didn't get my video out in time. I had to make a video. I should have probably called you.
Could have helped
could
you
have
there.
done
Could have helped you.
done an interview with a video. It would have been just fine. And Danica Seymour got the job, which she's absolutely fantastic, a brilliant mind, and I'm glad she did. Now seeing the undertaking and the experience that was needed, and she's definitely the right person for the job. Anyway, we ended up getting in a conversation for a director here. And in the midst of the conversation, they kind of nodded and were sending notes back to each other. And they said, we want him as the president of the chapter for Seattle. And within the same conversation, they switched it. And that's basically how I became the president of the chapter for Seattle. They saw what I could offer, and I thought it was a great fit for me, as social as I am and as connected as I am around the city, around the country, and around the world. It just seemed like a great fit.
Genius, right? So it just shows you too. Sometimes, like it's often I've said, sometimes when you don't win, you win.
Hmm.
Right? You
Yeah,
just got to get out there too. Like, if you take your shots and put them out there in the world, something will happen. Something, and ideally, something good will happen.
Yeah, I have a saying, and I'm curious. I might actually make this my podcast name if I do put one. It says, either you're either in the room or on the table. And I love it because I think about that from a sales point of view, but just in general, you're in the room or you're on the table. And in the room is a great thing because you can influence what's being said, and kind of guide that conversation. On the table, you're being considered, and so you want to be in the room or on the table.
Hmm. You'll love my friend. She's a voice equity expert, and she said it's not just enough to have a seat at the table. You got to have a voice at the table.
Yes, yes, exactly.
Yeah. So, well, talk
Fantastic.
to you a little bit more too, John. What have you done in the past that led you to CEO life?
Well, I've owned my own staffing agency. I was working for a company called Legion Staffing at one point. Actually, even before that, I wasn't in staffing at all. That I got a phone call while walking on California Ave in West Seattle, and this lady was trying to convince me to become a recruiter. And I said, "Oh, hell no, I don't want to be a recruiter." And so she started talking to me a little bit about staffing, and my desire to help people just kind of took over, and I saw it as a great fit. That was with a company called Macro CCS, and I'm still in touch with the president to this day. I credit her for getting me into the staffing industry. They convinced me, and so I went all the way to the final step of the interview, and everybody loved me. And she was the last one, and she loved me. And I'm like, okay, this is the lock. It's happening. And she called me that night and said, "Yeah, we're going in a different direction." I
Oh,
think I think the funny I've always graciously taken that if someone rejects me.
yeah.
In this case, it was so overwhelmingly positive. My response was, "What?" Which is not the response you want to give. And she said, "John, you're not a recruiter, you're a business development manager." And I said, "Yeah, you're not wrong." And so, but the bug was there. I got bit, and that was it. I was in staffing, and I loved being in staffing at that point.
Oh, interesting. Very cool. All right, let's see. So we didn't catch up during this part. What happened to you in March of 2020? What were you doing, and what happened in March of 2020?
Oh wow, that's a big question. March of 2020, I was running CSCC as the owner of that, and we were actually, I guess I can talk about it now because the NDA is gone. They got bought by someone else. We were actually in negotiations with a company called Logic Staffing,
Hmm.
and the when I first started the company, I had two goals. One was Expeditors Northwest. I
Oh,
wanted their contract nationally. And then I wanted to buy Logic Staffing, which I mean was so far fetched. It didn't make any sense that could even be a possibility. I got the Expeditors contract, small company going against $500 million companies, and we were the only one to be added as far as the incumbent. So that was a huge win. And then I ended up talking to Brenda. Actually, I got to know her because I kind of threatened her. I called her up one day. She's hilarious. I called her up when I said she was doing a fantastic job. I could never steal any of her clients. I said, "But I tell you, Brenda, I'm coming for you." And she loved it. She was a very competitive person. And through that competitiveness, we actually became friends. And we sat down one day for lunch, and she looked at me across the table. She didn't know anything about my desire to buy her company and said, "Why don't you buy Logic Staffing?" And that proceeded. That we started the process. We got everything in place. Went over the financials. Got the banking info, all their banking information. Got the SBA loan. We were there. We signed the letter of intent in March, and
hmm.
everything was going swimmingly in 2020. And then we got the announcement that the country was closing. And that deal took wings and flew away because there was uncertainty for
Yeah.
revenue, uncertainty for everything. And the bank said, "Nope, we are not going to play in that pool right now. We're going to put everything on hold." And they have since been bought by another company.
It, wow. So you were mid deal, and the deal just fell apart.
Right there. I mean,
Oh,
right there. I mean, it was a pretty hefty deal. I mean, it was worth
yeah.
the company was worth about 20 million. So it was a big deal. It was a
Do,
big deal.
do
To
you have
lose
any
that was very sad.
do you have any post deal insights? Right. Sometimes right? Like I'm disappointed when something doesn't happen, but later on you might realize that maybe I was not supposed to be in that deal for a variety of reasons or something else like that. I don't know. Do you have any post-deal insight now?
I sure do. I sure do.
Oh,
Even though I love him to death, I think
yeah,
the person that I was involved with, I think we probably wouldn't have gone down that road in a very good way. Both of us had some personal issues that happened at the time, and I think we probably would have lost track of what was the goal.
hmm,
You know what I mean? And so I always look at those things when I lose something. I don't look at it as a loss. I've always I kind of take that Tyler Perry approach. I've never failed.
yeah,
I just come to a wall in a maze that tells me to turn left or right.
yeah,
It's just a matter of repositioning and thinking which direction you want to head. It's if you take it as a failure, I mean, it can take you. It can go in two ways. I've always had that great question: do you love to win or do you hate to lose? And they both can have positives and negatives. You
hmm,
know, I hate to lose, but some people that hate to lose drive themselves completely insane when they get a defeat and they go into depression.
yeah.
Some people love to win, and if they don't win, again, they drive themselves into a negative place of depression. So I think if you use things as motivators, it's
Yeah.
always going to be a positive, you know. So you got to use it as a motivator.
Hmm. So, in this business development side, talk about what's one or two things you think you did that helped expediters select you out of all these other larger or different or bigger or different firms.
You know, one of the things I will tout myself. I'm a great presenter. I am. I'm an amazing presenter. It's probably why you talk to me about being part of that organization that you're part of. Yep, CSP right there, right there. Um, I'm phenomenal at it, and so I write great PowerPoint presentations, and I just do a great deal presenting the information at hand. But the biggest thing we did was we wanted to be a disruptor.
Yeah.
I saw things within the staffing industry. Actually, it was funny. I created a Word document of, well, not what everybody was doing wrong, but it was kind of okay. If I was in this position, what would I do differently? I would see the thing that was wrong, and I would write something about what I would do differently. And I started to look for tools and things out there that people just weren't doing that could bring value. So when we did presentation, they said we've never seen some of this stuff. It's so innovative. It's so helpful. It's such a resource to us as a staffing agency, or as a company hiring a staffing agency, that we have to use these guys. And then they did our financials and were like, we can't trust our company with this tiny company with the major contract. They said, we'll give you a slice and you're going to have to prove yourself, which we definitely did with TJ Maxx and Dyson. And we ended up running that here in Washington State.
Hmm. Hmm. So I think the key there was persuasion, perhaps.
It was persuasion and innovation. We were doing things that people just don't do. So I don't have this copywritten, so I don't even know if I want to say it out loud. But I have something called the CARE program, and I won't say the acronym because I'll leave that alone. Because I definitely want to copyright that before I say it in a public setting. And the CARE program really is, at the end of the day, when it comes down to it, is caring for people, caring for your client, and having the empathy that you need to really understand where they are positioned. Um, and then when you do that, I've always said we have a product that has two legs and can walk out the door. You know, one of the only industries. But when you care for people, you may not be able to guarantee things like, oh, we're going to give you a better employee in staffing, or you're going to get the best employees. Well, come on, no one can get it. No one can. We're dealing with human beings.
Yeah.
It's too much margin of error there. But I figure if you take care of people at a level where they need to be taken care of,
Yeah.
that product can be loyal. And that's all I'm really asking.
So you're in that relationship part of the business, right?
That's what I'm about. I'm all about relationships. I mean, look at how long we've known each other. We don't talk every day. Good Lord. I don't even know. I mean, I know the last time we talked, but we don't talk every day. We still stay in relationship somehow. It
Yeah.
may be a little reach out here or something I hear you on, and I say, oh my gosh, there's John. Let me shoot him a note. Or the time you were on the radio, and I think I called in and said, "Hey, John, how are you doing? And what are you doing with these tickets for the Super Bowl?" That's
Oh my
still
God,
stuck
this would
in
have
my
been
mind.
2014. That would have been 2014, John.
Yeah, yeah. So a lot of that stuff just sticks in my mind. And I think, people downplay how easy it is to actually stay in relationship with people. People value just when you think of somebody.
Yeah.
I think your obligation is to reach out, whichever method you think about, just texting, calling, email, whatever you do. If someone comes to mind, I think it's for a purpose, and you should always reach out to those people. Now, the problem is, millions of people come to my mind at any given time, so I'm reaching out all the time.
And you have the tools to touch any of them. I think that's the interesting part. But maybe you'll like this quote, John, right? And what we tell a lot of people too, especially in the team building field, of which I spent a lot of time in. And that's, build relationships long before you need them.
Yeah, yeah,
Because you
that's
can't,
it's
right?
so true.
You can't just go call all your relationships when you need them, right? You got to build them long before that if you want them to actually reply or respond. So, for instance, I deal with a lot of new entrepreneurs, a lot of new speakers, and they're wondering why everyone doesn't beat their door down when they have this, genius new product or talk or whatever it is. It's like you got to build those relationships. People don't know you from, anybody else, and so they can only do that after you build the relationship. I'm just curious, John, what's maybe a hidden tip that for building or maintaining relationships besides reaching out that you've seen work over the years?
All the trainings that are out there and all of the gosh, there's so many things that you can do with talking about building relationships, how to build relationships. I would say take all of that with a grain of salt. Definitely, there's some wisdom in that, but be yourself. Figure out how to
Mm.
join that to your personality. You become
Yeah.
a robot or somebody else's product, and it just comes off as disingenuous. I want to know, like John Chen is John Chen. I can go and drop you into a pool. You're going to be John Chen. I could drop you overseas. You're going to be John Chen. Same with John Carlisle. I'm just going to be me all the time. And I add skills and with wisdom to what I know and who I am. But the me, the genuine me, doesn't change. I have to stay myself. So I would say, try and merge who you are and your personality to the things that you're learning, because it doesn't come off authentic. And if you care for people, truly care for people. If you just care about the money, most people in this day and age will see through it.
What's funny, one of my friends who's a LinkedIn expert, Leah Bliss, right? She calls those messages you get where people try and ask you to buy something right in the first message, to her, that's known as a pitch slap.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
Right?
a pitch slap. I get it now. Yeah, that's it took me like a second, but that's so good. A pitch
Yep.
slap.
Pitch slap. So pitch slap is where you try and get people to buy on the first, email, as opposed to, you'll love this. My latest piece of marketing, John, is called Fix It Marketing. And Fix It Marketing is where if you see something broken and you have the skills to fix it, just fix it. Don't ask for a charge. Don't do it. Just show up and fix it. And actually, that's how I got in. And now I'm the producer for the largest CEO mastermind. Used to be run with one of the co-founders was Jay Abraham, right, the famous marketer to Damon John and Tony Robbins,
Right.
and
Yeah.
it all because they couldn't play a video. And I asked to get up there. I don't know why. It's 64 disappointed people, but one person in the room, and all it came to me at that moment, John, was like, I think I can fix that. Right. And I asked, I said, you don't mind if I get up? I really want to see your videos. Do you mind if I get up and try and fix that? And they're like, sure. And less than 2 minutes, I fixed that. And now it's been over 2 years, John, where I'm the producer of this mastermind. And it's like opened so many doors to extraordinary people who have, just massive networks. And again, I'm not sure exactly what to do with all the relationships, but it doesn't matter. I'm building them now. And
Yeah.
so that fix it marketing is my latest marketing strategy. Again, in the pitch lab, you want to do something like offer somebody something with your expertise before you even ask for the sale. And ideally, if you get it right too, they'll ask you for the sale. They're like, "How do I get into the CEO life thing or whatever?" All they have to do is see what you're doing in your own authenticity, and eventually, someone will say, "I want some of whatever John's getting. What is it?"
You're so right. I mean, CEO Life curating rooms for people to actually have conversations is that exact thing. Build relationships. You're not there to sell. You're there to build relationships. And those people, they get to know you and they get to like you. They'll want to do business with you. But realistically, you want to be in the room. That's that whole in the room on the table type of thing. You want to be in the room. Like I will kind of plug for my event in March. You keep my fingers crossed, but I'm gonna go out there and say this is gonna happen. We're talking with Cadillac of Bellevue. Um, J.R. Covey's going to do a talk. He's a sales psychologist. So he's gonna dig into challenging us because a lot of people don't get challenged at the CEO or leadership level.
Yeah.
And hopefully we'll do it at Cadillac of Bellevue. And afterwards, there'll be a gathering event where we'll sit and talk and eat some food, but each individual person will be able to test drive the Cadillac IQ, which is just a spaceship of a car. And that will be a ton of fun. They still have to verify it with me, but I'm going to jump on a ledge and say, it's happening, baby. It's happening.
Well, Cadillac just made its appearance in F1. I'm an F1 fan, right? And
So am
Cadillac,
I. So am I.
right?
Yes, they did. Yeah, I just
And
saw that too.
so yeah, and this is your business development side coming you too, which is sometimes I affectionately call it brand drafting. Brand drafting is where you're using someone else's brands to associate with yours, right? So when you take a great brand like Cadillac and CEO Life and you put them together, it's those are things like that. It's like I used to work at Microsoft, so you can brand draft off of that, saying I was an employee at Microsoft, and that usually will get most people to pay attention, at least in these
This
days.
this is true, and it's an experience. I mean, I don't know if you know anything about the Cadillac IQ. That's their electric Escalade, and it's
Hmm.
it's it's a spaceship of a car. And once you've driven it and see all the tech that's in there, that experience will sit with you. And you'll talk about it. You talk about it to other people. It's great for them.
Yeah,
They get to brand draft in a sense because we did the CEO Life thing, and they're
yeah,
going to have people there that they can market to.
yeah.
And it's not a cheap car. It's $150,000. So, but the executives that go there that go to CEO Life, they can afford that. So they actually have a group of people where their car sales would be able to target. And the car sales at the IQ, I don't want to go on total record, but I don't think they're flying off the shelf. I don't think they're leading sales because it's
Yeah.
a specialized product. But
Yeah.
the more people that could look at it, probably the better.
Yeah. So John, speaking of better, I'm curious, how do you build relationships over virtual? So I think you're doing at least some percentage of your meetings now virtual, and you probably did a lot of them in 2020. I'm just
Yeah.
curious, how do you build relationship over this box thing?
Well, we call them a virtual coffee, which would be individuals, or a virtual handshake, which is a group of people on the actual call. And it, it's been an interesting transition, hasn't it? Not meeting with people and then meeting with people. I'm a face to face guy. I want to meet with you in person. I think my personality would shine, and I had to learn how to do that on camera. Uh, Again, just being yourself and not being intimidated. But the future of this was laid down in 2020. This was a direction we were never going to go back from.
Right.
And the virtual meetings that we do, we again do informative meetings, questions that we'll just pose out there and just to open discussion. I think they're going to start to narrow themselves into a little bit more personal discussions, a little bit more focused, like something like this, where it's individual podcasts. Group gatherings are never going to be replaced on virtual, but I think some of those personal conversations that really need to happen will start to happen here as opposed to online. And it gives you a great way to do business. Right now, both of us, we could be wherever we are in the world, right, and
Yeah.
have this meeting and not wait for 4 weeks when our calendar availability is there. So that it just breaks down walls. I think the future of this has been set right from COVID.
Genius. And so you're a business development person. You can see the future. What do you see in the future, or what would you like to see in the future for virtual, hybrid, and this type of meeting technology?
I can see the future because I'm business development. I think you're thinking of Dionne Warwick and her psychic friends. Exactly.
Call 976 something something something.
Exactly. You know, business development, sales, let's call it just engaging people. Um, there's too much information out there for you to be fake. To what did you call that? Pitch slap.
Yeah, pitch slap.
There's too much information out there to just give an email. I absolutely hate just when I get an email as the owner of the company. You just get these emails, people selling me stuff. I hated it. I read 1% or less of those emails. If it didn't catch me in the first two sentences, I was
Yep.
out. So same thing.
No, just delete, 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 delete,
Delete,
delete,
delete,
delete.
delete. Oh yeah, no, I would just click, 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 mass delete.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I think the old school way of things is sort of making a circle back. I think people want to see the genuine conversations, not be sold, your interest in the company, wanting to solve their problems, understanding them, which has always been kind of the foundation of business development. But we've kind of gone away from that because it's become this, fast food type of sales approach
Mm.
where I can just market to 1,000 people because of the tools out here. And out of those 1,000 people, I'm going to get 10% to talk to, which is 100 people. And out of that 100 people, I may close 10% of that 100 people. So I'm going to get 10 close if I market to 1,000 people. What happened if you had meaningful conversations with 100? How many would you close? Would it be 25%? Would it be you're talking about 10 as opposed to 25. I think, and I've been part of organizations that flood their forecasts with all these different opportunities. It's all fabricated. It's all BS. It's all BS. I look at their forecast and I'm like, yeah, okay. Yeah, you're bringing that in. And then I remember being parts of companies and they look at my forecast and they go, what the heck? Your forecast is the smallest forecast in the company. How do you think you're going to get away with it? I said, yeah, but I'm going to close over half of those. There's a difference. I'm putting things that are actually going to happen. I think that's part of it. We're going to start to drill down and just be a little bit more honest with ourselves and honest with the client, but how we approach things. And I think for companies, they're going to have a more meaningful forecast, be able to dial in the future finances better, and stop all this fudging and marketing to 1,000 people. It's just not working. And then when you get the 1,000 people and you get the 10, you don't really you're not invested in them. You're sending out another 1,000, right? I hand it off and I'm gone. Boom, off to the next 1,000. Well, that doesn't sound like someone who cares about what's going on in my company.
Yeah, I think that one of the keys here is that, and I don't know, if the newer workforce is doing this all the time, but it sounds so simple, right? They under promise, over deliver, right? That in the forecasting, if you can under promise with a number that still sounds right, enticing to somebody, but you can over deliver. I think that's one of the key parts. So, for instance, like I'm serving my second term here as president for National Speakers Association, and one of my secrets too, as a president, I'm only going to run on one goal. That's it, right? So it's trackable. So we had membership at 80. I said I want to get to 125 in a year.
That's
Okay,
it.
and we actually did it in 9 months. But it was trackable. And we also said about that 125, right? It's aggressive enough, but it's also not unattainable, right? There are what, 6,000 speakers, people like you, John, who are out in Washington State. Why can't we just get a small percentage of them to get from 80 to 125? And
Exactly.
we did that. So this under promise, over deliver is really another piece. My friend Bill Falk just gave a presentation too around CAC and LTV. CAC is customer acquisition cost.
Mhm.
So the other part is to calculate how much are you spending, your time or whoever else's time or dollars or whatever to acquire a customer. But more importantly, what's the lifetime value of that client? So for instance, if you know the average time somebody's a member of CEO Live, you could calculate their lifetime value. And now you can justify spending more time on that relationship. So for instance, somebody said they spend $5,000 acquiring a new customer, and everyone's kind of like gasp, right? And then you go, and the product, the average that somebody buys is over 30 grand. And then they're
Yeah.
like, oh, this makes sense.
Yes.
Right. And so,
So
yeah,
true.
anyways, the customer acquisition cost and lifetime value are two things that some people I think don't consider. So, speaking of
Not at all.
not consider, while we were talking, I've been writing questions. This is called the speed interview portion of this podcast. While we
Uh-oh.
were talking, I wrote a bunch of questions. So, if you're okay with it, I'm going to ask you some questions. You're going to try and answer them as quickly as possible, and I'm going to play some ridiculous noise like that.
Let's
Are you
do it.
willing? You're
Let's
willing
do
to
it.
do it. Yeah, let's
Why
do it.
not?
Okay,
I'm an
cool.
adventurous person.
All right, here we go. Here comes the speed round for John. Best
Okay.
DJ session.
Oh gosh.
Here, I'll stall for you. John was a
Nightclub.
DJ in his past life, and he still DJs.
I'm trying to think of the guy's name. Auburn's in Winnipeg, Manitoba.
Oh,
After hours party.
best ever.
Best ever. 100%. 100%.
There we go. Got the DJ air horn. Best recruit that you can talk about.
The breast recruit. I'll just say his name. His name was Mike. He was in a bit of a sketchy past. Let's leave it at that. He wanted to turn his life around, and I convinced him to take an entry-level job. He went to school, got his CDL, and is now making over $100,000. Turned his life around and got out of that sketchy past. So that was the best recruit I think I've ever done.
There we go, John. One of my
Yeah.
favorite stories is around the Microsoft mail manager. He managed the mail room, and he said his job is not to deliver the mail. His job was to try and get as many people to Blue Badge or become a full-time employee from the mail room, and he was
Yeah.
very successful at it. It was
Yeah.
very cool.
There's something so I love seeing people win. And so it's
Uh,
something special when you see someone that's not in the right mind frame, but then you talk to them and they're going, I just need an opportunity. I need a chance.
yeah.
I'll do the work. I know it's going to take me 3 to 5 years, but I'll sacrifice. And he was willing to do that.
Okay. Well, the other side. Worst action from someone you didn't hire.
I had a fellow come into the office and he was a little belligerent to the recruiter that he was talking to. So I decided to take him aside and have a conversation with him. And he stood over top of me, like in on my desk, like he wanted to fight me. Yes. So that's a very uncomfortable situation. Obviously, you're in a very defensiveless position. So I stood up, and all I heard was "big guy, huh?" And he got super irate. He started walking down the hallway, screaming, and I'm gonna do a bad review of this place. And I said, "Okay, go ahead." But yeah, there's been some interesting ones that have happened. I have some staffing stories that would make you giggle.
You should write a book about that. You should definitely write a book about that. Okay. Best
Love the
business
sound
development.
effects.
Best business development in your lifetime.
Um, has to be the Expeditors Northwest. That was we had no chance. We had no business being part of that RFP process and going through town hall meetings and writing the proposals and doing everything that we did. Uh, I happened to be good at it, so it worked. But the fact that we got awarded, it was a complete surprise. But the funny part about it, it was a surprise that we got awarded, but inside, I knew. I have a fellow, his name is Tori Roberts. He has a book coming out called Knowing. I just shamelessly plugged his book. And he's talking about knowing, just having that ability to have a knowing of something. And yeah, and I knew that we were going to win that contract. I knew that we were going to be like before we started the company. This is the country. This is the company I'm going to go be a part of. Sorry, this is the company I want to win. And through a relationship, I got into the RFP, and he said, "Okay, you're in. Now it's up to you." And that was all I needed. I just give me a foot in the door, and I'll win wherever I'm going. So,
All right, here you go. Best business development. Good job. That's a
the sound effects are
Lamborghini.
killing me.
Okay, best
Uh,
presentation you've ever given.
Same place, town hall meeting. Uh, about I think there was 17 people in the room from all over the country, and being able to present to them and win over the entire room. That is not an easy thing to do with
What's the
17
moment? What's the
different.
moment you knew you had it?
We had an ace up our sleeve. We had this piece of technology which we did not allow them to know what the technology was. We just showed them what the result of the technology was.
Yes.
And so we showed them the end result, which was a report that showed someone's personality, their propensity to showing up on time, if they had leanings towards management or not. And
Oh,
we broke that down in a way that said, when you're ready to promote somebody, these are reports that go in their file, so we can come back and revisit that. And you look at someone, how many times you've promoted someone, and they're really just a salesperson. They're not a sales manager, but they've been such a good salesperson. You think, let them replicate themselves, and they fall apart. You need to know they have the propensity, that they have to have that leaning towards management and be successful. This report showed that. And so just because of that, and there were some other things on the report, but that was one of the big ones. They looked at each other and went, whoa, like that's really powerful.
yeah. Predictive technology, right?
Yes, yes, yeah.
Okay, this is for you. Let's see. Wait. There you go.
Oh, that's the most disappointing one so far.
You're welcome. Favorite song or band?
Oh gosh, that's impossible. That's impossible. Favorite rock band, Led Zeppelin. Favorite R&B band, ah, that's next to impossible as well. Let's go with Earth, Wind, and Fire. I love Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Okay,
Yeah,
I'm gonna
let's just
break.
go with those two.
I'm gonna break the internet with Little John. All right. Second to last
Awesome.
question. Advice for new professionals.
Whew. This is an interesting profession to be in, just in general, when you go outside of blue collar and try to go to white collar.
Hmm.
It's sort of a machine right now. The way to stand out is to be diligent, but be yourself. Bring your talents and your personality. There's something special about you that no one else knows. You know it internally, and you may not be aware of what you are or who you are. Go find that,
Hmm.
because when you find that, you're going to stand out in the crowd. If you're just going to be one of, you know, 50 guys that or 50 gals that look exactly the same, dress exactly the same, what is it that's going to make you stand out to get some attention? And then once you've got that attention, you better be able to do something with it. So for instance, I remember my first job as in an executive role. Everybody wore um, a button-down shirt and basically some slacks and some shoes.
Yeah.
And I came in, and I had a fellow that was an ex-CFL player. I told him he was a buddy of mine, and I told him had this job, but I had no clothes. I was a young man, I had no clothes, and we were about the same build. And so he took me into his house, and he opened up this closet, and he said, give me $500 and take all those suits. They're all yours. And I had all the suits I needed in the world. And I used to come to work in these beautiful suits.
Wow.
and the vice president of the company and the president of the company, when I actually left the job, said they were so shocked that I was leaving. They had these plans for me because they'd been observing me. And I said, observing me? What are you talking about? And they said, well, you're in management, aren't you? And I said, no.
You're now on the table, right?
I was on the table, and I actually ended up in the room, and he was shocked. He's like, you carry yourself in such a way that I thought you were one of our leaders. And that's again, find that little thing inside of you that you can capitalize on and make shine, so someone can see who you are. But if they see who you are and the next thing that comes out of your mouth is stupidity, that's not going to work either. You better educate yourself, and you better keep yourself sharp, and know how to articulate your thoughts.
Well, fun fact right here, this new suit that I have here on this bottom right, this red suit is from a tailor that I've been working with in Hong Kong, Lord's Tailor. And I got to tell you, this suit has been a suit where I've not gotten more comments on it than this particular suit. When you see it in person, John, you'll see what I mean. And this is where your clothes matter too. It helps form that first impression, right, with people. And so what you wear is part of your own brand. So, well,
and it changes your mentality too.
And it changes your own mentality. Yeah, I think
does.
that's You say I belong. Other people start to think about all of a sudden you realize, and you say I deserve a seat at the table too.
Exactly. Exactly.
Okay, last question. If you could get people to remember one thing, just only one thing from this podcast, what would it be, John?
Yeah, be yourself. Find that thing that makes you special, and be that. Do that as much as you possibly can. I'm a relationship builder. I build relationships no matter where I go. Doesn't matter if I'm at Costco. Doesn't matter if I'm eating somewhere. Doesn't matter if I'm walking along the street. I talk to everybody. I reach out to people that you would think there's no way that person's going to ever talk to me. And he's got a Harley jacket. He's all grungy, and I'm like, "Hey, how you doing?" We find something common to talk about, and I've met some of the most amazing people that way. But that's me. You got to find what drives you and what's inside of you that people can gravitate towards. So be yourself, find out that special thing about yourself, and then just go and do that. You'll probably be happier too.
Well, John, I appreciate that. And I have a contact for you if you ever need it at CEO Life. We have the gentleman who coined the term unique selling proposition. His name's Bill Schley, and he's part of this group. And so if you ever want him to come in and talk to your group, he's definitely one of those people. That unique selling proposition was the fancy name for your secret sauce. It's what you do better than anybody else. And every business has got to figure out what is that. So what is that? But John, thank you for sharing your secret sauce with us here on the Engaging Virtual Meetings podcast. And I look forward to seeing you here somewhere in Seattle, maybe at a Cadillac dealership, right?
Yeah, hopefully you can make it. I think that's going to be a lot of fun.
Outstanding. Thank you so much, John.
All right.
Well, we've been visiting here with John.
We're offline, I take it?
Not yet, John. We're out here, so I'm going to close this show down. I'm going to bring John back in so he can see that he's wondering, how does this system work, right? So I'm going to show him just a little behind the scenes. So best part here is that if you're watching here on social media, make sure and subscribe, share, like, and comment, right? If you want all the episodes, like John's episodes, come to engagingvirtualmeetings.online. New episode every single week. Make sure and scan for a free ticket. You want to be more engaging in the world like John. You want to come here to the retreat every October. This will be October 20, 21, and 22. And last of all, if you want to be like John, then go to engagingvirtualmeetings.com/meet and select interview. And you too can be like John and be the next guest here on the Engaging Virtual Meetings podcast. We'll see you next time.